assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, jiayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bakhair ni hao, junashumme, washbale, ohio, gonzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hala shama chatore, ahlan wasalan marhaba, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning alongside the very amazing, the very talented Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Ehsan Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I am good, how are you, and how come you're looking so sporty?
Oh, well, there are different reasons for that. We'll definitely discuss about that. But at times, there are people who are actually not ready with the next question some other person might ask when you're on television. So as soon as I ask, Shiza, oh, how are you today? I'm fine. What about you? So the other person's like, okay, give me a second to think about
this is not
it.
the first time you're pointing to.
Yeah.
So you tell me, when someone asks you, how are you, what do you respond?
I'm fine. I'm great.
That's what I said, right?
And this is something which you can even just see, but by just watching me, you can see that, oh, this guy is great. So it's all right, ladies and gentlemen, but today it's going to be a very interesting conversation because, first of all, Shiza is obviously a co-host. She's a part of the team, but there's another person who's a part of the team too as well. And he's a great guy. He's got great energy. He brings in great energy too as well. He's got his subject under his umbrella. So I think this is something which we'll be talking about. Why we are dressed up sporty is something which we are going to let you know right after these top stories. So are you ready for the top stories?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Let's do it. Good morning. Yeah, today only.
The US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is arriving in Islamabad today to hold talks with Pakistani leadership. No comment.
Moving on, where Pakistan Cricket Board announces 16-member squad for the upcoming Asia Cup cricket tournament in UAE. Asia Cup starts from 15th of September. I guess our first match is on the 16th.
And second on 19th, that end.
Wow.
Well, Ehsan Mani has been elected unopposed as the chairman of Pakistan Cricket Board for a term of 3 years.
What a
I'll
great
be honest,
decision.
I didn't even know that 3 years were over for Najam Sethi. Such a small period of time.
I seriously didn't know how to comment on this. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, okay, before we indulge into what we're going to talk about today, so today there's this one thing which I wanted to talk about, and that is that, Shiza, usually what happens is that, you start with your hellos, and then, I do my hellos, and then I come down to a point where I actually have to say that, alongside me, I have very amazing, very talented. Do you think that, you'll get this opportunity one day to say it to me as well?
Yeah, I really do want the opportunity if you let me. You know what, we're going to switch tomorrow.
All
okay?
right. We can do that. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason that we dressed up very sporty today was, as we just, read this headline too as well, that Ehsan Mani Sahib is elected unopposed as chairman Pakistan Cricket Board for a term of 3 years. So we are in line with Asia Cup too as well, and it's a very crucial decision at this point of time, where Asia Cup's right on our head too as well, and the 16-member squad has been announced.
Selected, yes.
And today, that's what we're going to be talking about as well, because Pakistan is a cricketing nation. It's in our blood, and it's always going to be in our blood too as well, which is why what we have done is that we are actually going to take you back in time, make you feel a bit nostalgic with one of the songs which we relate with cricket as Pakistanis. Let's go ahead, let's listen to this, and when you guys are going to come back, we will ask our guests whether, all of these changes which are recently made to the squad or the people who have been selected for the Asia Cup are perfect or not. Let's do this. Good morning.
Good morning.
The world is coming down, the flags are up. Who's gonna be number one? Who's gonna take out the cup? Who will be? Who'll be the king? It's a once in a lifetime chance to rule the world. Gotta see who rules the world. The world is coming down, the flags are up. Who's gonna be number one? Who's gonna take out the cup? Who will be? Who'll be the king? It's a once in a lifetime chance to rule the world. Gotta see who rules the world.
Okay, well, this was one amazing and, mood-boosting song, I can say, energetic as well. When we talk about Pakistani sports, so there's one thing. Cricket is the top favorite, we know. Although our national sport is hockey, but a lot of people are cricket fans.
Exactly.
Which is why, this is not the reason, but our Prime Minister, our Premier as well, happens to be a cricketer as well in the past. He happens to be Pakistan's star. He actually made us win
Yeah.
the 92 World Cup, which is amazing,
Exactly, that's what it is. But let's get our conversation started. We'll definitely dedicate shows towards different sports too as well. For example, she mentioned hockey, karate, MMA, all of these shows we've been doing.
Yeah.
But now what we'll do is that we'll actually figure out, one day for one sports only. But today we've got two segments, so without any further ado,
Yes.
on my right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, as I said that, one of our colleagues, one of our team members from PT World, me and him, we actually started the journey together as news anchors, but now finally look where I am and look where he is. We're both on the same show as well, because he's a sports anchor now as well. And he's sitting over here as a sports analyst. He's a great guy. He's got great grip too as well. He's none other than Mr. Ahmed Nawaz. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Good morning. I'm very well.
Thank
Shahzad.
you very
How are
much for joining us. It's lovely to have you. And alongside Mr. Ahmed Nawaz, I've got somebody for at least, let me go back in time for, I think in 2016, 15 and 14, I was on PTV Sports. I was on PT World, being a sports anchor too as well. But then I lately figured out that, okay, probably I should just stick to entertainment or infotainment as well. This guy was a regular. He's been playing international cricket. He's been a coach for the UAE too as well, under 17, under 19. So he pretty much knows how cricket works over here within Pakistan and outside Pakistan too as well. He's none other than Mr. Syed Mohammad Awais. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Walaikum
Long
assalam.
time no see.
I'm absolutely perfect. Long time no see because you've been traveling around, and with, what do we call it? Yeah, PSL, you have to travel around a lot too as well. But right now we are focusing on Asia Cup. But before we do that, let's move on to the newest chairman PCB as well, which I think he truly deserves to be over here. But before we start the conversation, ladies and gentlemen, in the past 4 years, I think it is very perfect to say that the Pakistani cricket team actually had splendid performances on different grounds too as well. So what kind of changes are we expecting from Mr. Salmani?
Well, certainly a lot, because one thing what people fail to understand, that the head of the PCB, the Pakistan Cricket Board, is the highest powerful post after the post of Prime Minister, according to the Constitution, because whatever he says becomes a law. Secondly, what people don't understand, that this is a post that doesn't require you to be an ex-cricketer, but requires somebody to be of a strong marketing administrative background. So I think when we talk about Hassan Mani, we know he's filled in as ICC's top positions. He's been the president of the ICC. In the 90s, he's been the chairman of the Financial Committee in marketing as well. So he carries a profile that's good for Pakistan cricket now, because in the past 5 years, what we've done, because of our good performance, we've made Pakistan cricket a brand now. So once you make a brand, you need strong marketing for that. And that's why I think Hassan Mani, not just for the marketing perspective as well, but as a strong administrator and under a prime minister who's a cricketer himself, who's probably the most successful cricketer in Pakistan. So I think this is a perfect combination to get things forward.
Okay, other than that, let's just forget, who's the chairman of PCB. What kind of qualities do we actually need to see within anybody who actually holds the seat of the chairman PCB as well?
I think number one, he needs to be a very strong administrator.
Okay.
Obviously, people would say non-biased, non-political, but I think a very strong administrator and a person, like I said, with good marketing skills. Look, the reason is now, Shahzad, we realize that cricket is going towards somewhere it has never been before. Okay. It's not just sports anymore. Like all the famous sports in the world, we have NFL in USA, we've got the international hockey leagues. Everything now requires a lot of sponsorship. And I think since Pakistan invented the Pakistan Super League, our cricket has never looked back. And that's why now it's necessary to give them strong administrative support coupled with good marketing. I think these are the two essential skills for a chairman PCB, because this is very
before
quick.
we move on with anything else, I think it's only imperative to talk about the legacy that Najam Sethi
Like it
left
when women
behind
talk about cricket in Pakistan.
for Pakistani cricket. So what is it that you think that is, I can't say one of the most important things, but there's so many things that so many changes have actually occurred in, the sports scene of Pakistan over the past few years. So Najam Sethi's role in it, his legacy, what do you think it is?
It's a bit controversial.
Okay.
I'll be very honest on this now, because we're free to talk about this now since the changes in the
We are
government.
editorially
yes,
independent.
we're neutral. So it was a bit controversial, but you have to give the guy his pros, because what he did was he lifted Pakistan cricket from nowhere, and he actually invented the PSL. A lot of people I know say Avais
You can't
and
say
me.
nowhere. I mean,
It was nowhere, Shiza, because we've been in the
Yeah,
structure,
yeah.
so we know what was happening.
You guys corneringly
Yeah,
put it.
so we know it was nowhere. But a lot of people complain, me and Avais are one of them, that more focus should have been given to other domestic structures as well. But I think for one, give Najam Sethi the credit that he invented the PSL, which went on to produce laurels for Pakistan cricket. And actually, that was the main factor that helped us generate a team which won the Champions Trophy for us.
Okay, and do you think that it's because of Najam Sethi or the administration at that time that international cricket returned to Pakistan?
Same issues. I mean, the Pakistan Super League. First of all, I would start from that. It was the idea from a long period of time. I mean, to implement that. When Najam Sethi Saab came on, see, one thing would be unfair to say that 100% credit should have been given to Najam Sethi Saab. I'm in favor of that. But the management sitting behind that, because the teamwork is always needed to implement a project. They had done a brilliant work, I mean, by implementing the Pakistan Super League, because that was the main stage, I mean, because you wanted the cricket back to Pakistan. I mean, whatever happened on that was a history in Pakistan. Now, alhamdulillah, it's a safe country. Cricket is back to Pakistan. Najam Sethi has been doing he had done a brilliant job with the management over here. But see, I mean, the new chairman coming up, I mean, Ehsan Mani, I mean, one thing, Shahzad, I mean, he has the role, the toughest role, I would say. It's just not that you have got the Pakistan Super League 2 editions done on, I mean, it's on the plate. No, you have to do the work from restart. Why is that? Because, I mean, the marketing, bringing up new international players for the Pakistan Super League, bringing Pakistan Super League back to Pakistan, because that was the focus of Najam Sethi Saab. I mean, if you remember on in the previous Pakistan Super League, he said the next Pakistan Super League, at least I think so, Ahmed, it would host 6 to 7 matches in Pakistan. So it would be a challenge for the Pakistan new chairman over here. And especially, see, I mean, when you talk about the domestic cricket, I mean, what Khan Saab even has been saying on to revive your school cricket. Unfortunately, Pakistan has just, the school cricket has vanished off. I've never played in Pakistan. I mean, I was playing for UAE. Unfortunately, 3 years back, Shahzad knows, I had a car accident. So my cricket career was over. Even my wife, she's still on the bed. And the school cricket has finished up in Pakistan. If you just go towards the neighbor countries like India, Sri Lanka, they have got such a strong schooling cricket. I mean, you get talent from there. I remember my seniors, I mean, they used to say when there was a school match in Pakistan, if it's a school match over here, I mean, and the surrounding premises of the other schools, I mean, they used to come to watch. It was thousands people watching that cricket match. Unfortunately, that has vanished off. So it's a good idea to implement the school cricket back over here. You need to make your domestic cricket strong. Still, I mean, we are producing good cricketers, but you need to make your domestic cricket strong, because that has
Okay,
been
then let's talk about domestic cricket. So, you know, I think 2-3 years earlier, or 4 years earlier, I was working with Health Sports 2 as well, where I actually I was designated to go to these little camps where, you know, we
many
have
channels have you been
under
working for?
13, under 17, under 19. So there was one thing when I went to FATA, which I witnessed, that, you know, people actually had to travel from so many different remote areas and finally reach to a place where they'll actually be auditioned or the trials will take place. And then even if they weren't selected, they actually had to go back home. But other than that, what I saw was that there was dearth of facility. And if we talk about all of these camps, how do you think that, you know, these challenges will be actually picked up and then addressed by the newer administration? Let's start with you, Ahmed.
First thing, we need to understand that Pakistan's domestic structure, because you mentioned youth cricket, I think that's the most essential part of any sports. Different countries in the world, you've been traveling, a lot of us, a team have been traveling as well. They've got a sporting culture, which Pakistan
For
used to
example,
have.
Australia.
Yeah, of course, I think it's the best option. And you'd be surprised to know that they've been so good in cricket, but cricket is their second most favorite sport. The first one is Australian football. So that Australian football star in Australia is equal to what we have like Shahid Afridi over here. So it's a sporting culture which we've missed. Secondly, the problem with these youth trials, because it's a very straightforward answer, that you must see people from remote areas as well. But where the problem comes in FATA, you must see that people from FATA deserve to be selected for the team. But a guy who's been to Rawalpindi region, who's been to Sindh, who's been to Punjab and has not been selected, gets a call from one of his selectors who's he's been related to and gets called to FATA, gets selected from there and starts playing from there. So eventually what happens, that the right of the guy from FATA is destroyed. So
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
And even Shahzad, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt in between. And one more thing, I'll just continue about that. That's the point where what the new Pakistan Cricket Board chairman will have to work on, because even the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan Sahib, even said one thing that I don't say that you need to finish up the department cricket, because see, many of the cricketers, I mean, they belong to the poor families. I mean, it's their bread and butter, what they get paid from the department cricket. Department cricket needs to be separate, and your city cricket needs to start on. What I mean to say that it's that I belong to a place, Gujarat. I mean, a team needs to be from Gujarat. It needs to be from Rawalpindi. It needs to be from Islamabad. And the person and the people who belong to that city, they need to be selected for that city, because then you will have the backup from that city. You will have the crowd attracted to the stadiums. I remember the last T20 match which was held in Rawalpindi Stadium, when it was Peshawar versus, I think so, the finals was between Peshawar versus Lahore. It was. Shahzad, I was there. It was a jam-packed stadium to support KPK. I mean, because the people had the influence that my team is playing up over here. So you need to have this kind of a setup in the domestic cricket.
But if you already have a setup where we know that obviously after your trials you will definitely be hired by the different departments. For example, ZTBL, WABDA, SUI, PTV, all of these teams, you get hired by them, and then you definitely make a career out of it as well. How do you think that we can actually depend on cities? Because I think we'll have to go down further, where we have to talk about the union councils too as well.
No, I'm not saying about the union council. See, I mean, it's just department cricket is something else. I mean, see, that's the point where marketing comes on. I mean, you need to find out the sponsors for your cities. I mean, the ABN AMRO Cup, I remember
Well, there won't be any, if for example, a few of these banks weren't there, or these departments weren't there.
It's already there.
It'll be more difficult.
Regional cricket already has sponsors. The best part, right now, if you look at Islamabad has been divided into zones. So there's Central Zone, North Zone, East and West Zone. So each of these zones has their own under 16 team, under 19 team, and then obviously there's senior district. And all of these lots get paid on daily basis for what they're giving.
Only if they're playing.
If they're playing, yes, obviously. Even if they're in the squad, they'll get those dailies. But now the problem with them is, of course, sponsorship. But that's why regional boards need to be strengthened to a fact that they arrange their own sponsors. Look, PCB gives them a share of money. Unfortunately, that share of money gets deviated somewhere in the loophole, and at the end of the year they end up making two very quick tournaments on a very, very fast track basis to sort out those income. So I think you already have that structure. Everything has been perfectly defined. All you need to do from the PCB as well is strengthen your youth cricket, because that's the only answer.
I can
please go on.
I can quote you an example. I mean, the last Pakistan Cup, which was being held in the Rawalpindi Stadium, Shahzad, and it's the main junction road. I'm talking about the marketing department, especially. I mean, the main junction road, it's Murray Road. I mean, you got the double road over there, you got the main expressway. I never saw a single Panaflex or a single standee being placed up on the roads that this tournament is being played, or your big players are being playing the matches over there. Because I was in a cab.
Sports, that's what it is.
No, and you know what, Shahzad? I was in a cab and a taxi driver asked me, "Sir, andar kaun sa match ho raha hai?" And I said, "The All Stars are playing." You know, the main thing, it's just not about the televising on the PTV Sports. Why the people were attracted when they saw the floodlights on, then they knew some tournament is being played off.
They had free pizza inside.
And imagine it was jam-packed already when people didn't knew about it. So imagine that, if we would have been marketing it, it would have been a total chaos. But let's just forget that. Before we move on to the squad itself, okay, what do you want to say?
Yeah, this is actually what I was going to talk about Asia Cup before, because we're short on time. So before we move on to the squad and, people who are going to represent Pakistan, just run us through with the schedule. I know just one of the matches Pakistan is going to play with India on the 19th. That is what I'm excited about, being a typical Pakistani. But what about the other matches?
The Asia Cup starts on the 15th of this month.
Right, okay.
On the 16th, the very next day, Pakistan is to face a wild card entrant, which is basically either UAE or Hong Kong, whoever gets selected. After that, Pakistan have their big encounter with India, and I think from there on things will move forward. But obviously, all eyes are going to be on the 19th, and we know that me and Avais have a tough job installed for that day as well.
Exactly, but even other than that, last time I think Pakistan won against India too as well, and if the total number of matches is compared alongside India, Pakistan has won quite a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to share a promo or a trailer from the previous Champions Trophy India-Pakistan match as well. Go ahead, take a look. And when you guys are going to come back, there's one thing which I want to talk about, and that was that, when I was within all of these camps where it was under 17 selection and trials were taking place, I kind of thought, or I kind of felt that, there were a lot of people who were actually calling the selectors too as well. Whether does that exist in our system or not, That's something I'm going to talk about. Let's do it.
Also women's cricket.
Yeah.
50 for Fakhar Zaman, out off a no ball. He has made India pay.
India 339 to win.
All close, that's come back in. Given, in the air, gone! Pakistan cricket at its best.
Surprise takes the catch, it's all over. Pakistan win. India blown away in the final, and it's Pakistan over the line. Massive win. Great scenes.
So we are definitely not worried about the match on 19th as well, because we have done it so many times, we've won it so many times as well, so it's
our
not a
thing.
problem. Yeah, but now, before we once again go back to the squad, because Shaheen Afridi's in it too as well, and Fakhar Zaman, and all these people, before we talk about that, so there's this one thing which I felt while I was, hosting the trials, while I was looking into all of those people who were performing, I saw a few people came up with, okay, it's a very different story. So there was this guy who came up with a newspaper or a news magazine, and he said to the selector that, I work for a newspaper magazine and whatnot, and will take a few pictures with this kid. And so all of this stuff kept on happening, but by the end of the day, the kid got selected too as well. So I kind of got a feeling that, are we transparent in the process of selecting, or are we not?
Or does nepotism exist?
Because let's just address the issue then.
The process is 100% non-transparent, I'll be very honest, because this is where the
I think
problem
we
is.
might just lose our jobs too.
No, I think
ahead.
it's right
before
to,
you speak.
yeah, I'm perfectly fine with this. I've been, a part of this structure that has humiliated so many people. What happened was, over the years, this system does exist. The other problem is, I remember guys who were with me in school or colleges. It's okay to say I'm 25 right now. They're still playing under 19 cricket.
Wow.
So the age factor is another. Of course, PCB came up with a wrist test as well.
Yeah.
But then again, you've got a lot of things controversial with that as well. But to be honest, yes, this culture does exist.
Yeah.
Look, influential calls do work right now in youth cricket. That's one of the main reasons. But obviously, this is a problem which can be eliminated with time, and that is already being done by, like, in the past 2 years. If I highlight the past 2 years, it's been beautifully catered, as a lot of people have come up without any influential phone calls, and I think towards our international team with Mickey Arthur coming in as a coach, that's being done very well.
Okay, that's good. Very sorry, Shazad,
No,
but
no
the
problem.
the only reason why I wanted to ask Abbas a question was that, why would you play for UAE when you were born in Pakistan, you were raised over here, you were a great cricketer?
I was born in UAE.
What happened? Even if you weren't born over here, you were carrying a Pakistani nationality, right?
See, Shazad, one thing is, I'll just make one thing clear on, many of them have that question comes, because many of them question even me that it's really easy to play for a non-test nation, and it is not, because Ahmed even might know that the guys who have been dropped off from the Pakistan side or Pakistan A, who are dropped from the India, Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, they opt the non-test nations and they play for them.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate to say that, even because I've played for UAE national team, I've played and represented under 17, 19 and for the UAE national team. It's really unfortunate to say that it comprises of Indian, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. It's a total 4 nations gelled up unit, I would say.
Yeah.
And all
That's
of
what
them
they do
have,
with every sport.
and, and all of them have been dropped off from the national teams or from the A squad.
Right.
And it's really unfortunate to even see that they have got such a great talent, that person's over there, and you know what? They play over here. I don't want to name the court, because he's playing a national team for UAE right now. He represented Sialkot Stallions for 9 years with Imran Nazir. He wasn't given a chance. He went to UAE, I'm sorry to say that, he went to UAE on a pipe fitting as a labor
Yeah.
visa. And he played over there for at least 2 years. You need to be at least, if you're not born over there, at least you need to play for 2 to 3 years to get eligible for UAE national team. He played over there for 2 years. He was selected for the UAE national team. And now the Pakistan Sialkot Stallions, someone on that day told me up, they called him up and said, "Yaar, bahut badi galti ki, you could have been selected for Pakistan."
Yeah.
So that's the point I'm saying on, because you have got the talent over here. We always say one thing, that you have got the gap between the domestic cricket and the Pakistan national team, but it's wrong. You have got the biggest gap is between the under 19 and the national team. Who's going to be filling it up there? I've been traveling, I've traveled to 12 countries in the world. I've played as a pro in England for Nottinghamshire too. I'm in Sunday League. Believe me, there are people who have played for Pakistan under 19 World Cup, and if you see them over there, why are you over here? So I played under 19 World Cup in blah blah years. I performed No one picked him. Even the domestic cricket did not pick me up, and I'm playing for
So
the
these,
pro national
these
team.
are the issues, and I think we've highlighted them quite well too as well. But towards the end, let's come back towards the squad as well, which will be playing in the Asia Cup. So, are you satisfied with the squad which they have selected, the 16-member squad?
Absolutely, 100%, because it's a complete balance of what we need in an Asia Cup. We've got our performers who are performing on the day, and obviously one thing Pakistan team has now changed is the fitness criteria.
Okay.
So they don't see whether much big of a player a name carries, but on the day, on the fitness test, if he's performing, he gets selected into the national side. And I think all of these guys pack that right amount of energy, the right amount of flair to not only beat India, but I think this is our best chance of winning the Asia Cup.
Oh, that's great. Wes, what about you?
Yeah, Pakistan, I mean, I just had one complaint about that. I don't know whether Ahmed would agree with me. Even Shahzad, you know, the cricketing backgrounds, I mean, Hafiz should have not been dropped off over here. You know why? Because, see, you need to have your senior campaigners in between. I mean, in the middle order especially, I would say Shoaib Malik with Mohammad Hafiz, even the senior cricketers, even the legends, I would say, even they say one thing, that you can't enter the 2019 World Cup until you don't have both the players with you, because your middle order needs to carry up with the senior campaigners over here. On the other hand, even
I think we might be preparing for that too.
No. See, I mean, Mickey Arthur has one statement.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm saying that you're getting the youngsters over here. But I was still confused to carry up Shan Masood. I know that he has performed, he has been scoring runs, but he hasn't been delivering in the international caliber. I'm saying on that. Yeah. And secondly, I just have one question, and I hope so. Sarfraz Bhai performs over here. I'm a big fan of him. And you know, because even I know him personally, Sarfraz Bhai. I mean, the thing is that Sarfraz Bhai, I always say one thing, that he's a captain, but he needs to be a leader now. I mean, the leader is something else, the captain is something else. He needs to lead from the front in the batting order. He hasn't been consistently performing. There are no complaints from him. He's the captain.
He's a
back
great
him up.
wicketkeeper though.
But he's a very good
But somebody
wicketkeeper.
needs to address Kamran Akmal, because he says he's going to set himself on fire. So we don't want that.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. But towards the end, I just want to, highlight women's cricket. Okay, it's great. We have a team and we play as well, but
And everybody
why
is happy about the selection they've made, the players we have.
Okay, so anyway, so why is women's cricket like low-key as of yet? So just before the show, when I was talking to Shahzad about this, he said it's because of you guys, because you guys don't watch enough women's cricket. You don't support it as much and market it as much as you do for men, which I believe is sort of true, because personally, I
I
watch
think
more
even the
men's
channel
matches.
tells them to, just talk about mainstream
No,
cricket.
I think we've got a very good women's side.
Yeah.
They've been winning. Sana Mir
So
has
yeah,
been a
no,
very
I get that.
successful
So my
talent.
question is, first of all, the two things basically. Are we expecting to participate more in international matches? And number two, are we expecting to be paid equally or even close to as men cricketers are? So that there's probably an incentive to, be proud of.
I thought your show on women empowerment was 3 days ago.
Yeah.
No, but this is about cricket, and there is a women's cricket team.
Equal salaries.
Let's even get close to them. Okay, if
Yeah.
not equal, even close to them. So, it's
Yeah,
at least respectful.
Yes, it should be done. It is something which should be done,
Right.
which is not being done. But with the change in management now, that is something you can expect. Because I think you pointed it out beautifully that everybody's talking about Ahsan Bani, everybody's talking about the Asia Cup, changes in domestic structure, but nobody's talking about women cricket. And women cricket, the only way you can revive your
Even
women...
Shahzad is not. I am.
It's difficult for men to talk about
I
women
was,
cricket.
I was told to talk about Asia Cup,
Yeah, but look, Australia did, although they're a much solid sporting nation than we are, but one thing which they did, they franchised this. And I honestly think that a same version or a likewise version for PSL should be held for the women's team as well.
I'd love
And
that.
I think that's
Oh,
the
God.
best, because Australia does it with the Big Bash League. They've got the same teams for men
Great
with the
idea.
same franchises, and they do it with the female
And
sector.
Ahmed, even I mean, I was sitting with the high officials of Pakistan Cricket Board who are they're working strong
Working
on
on,
the
yeah.
women's cricket right now. I would say not previously, but now. He quoted me an example. He said, Wes, in a year like 2017, how many girls from Pakistan would have played cricket? I said, sir, something like 10,000, 11,000. He said, no, just 2,000 women. I mean,
Okay.
2,000 girls.
Altogether.
And back in Australia, I'm saying out, there was a life boy cricket tournament, and he said, how many girls could have participated in it from 100%? I mean, comparing boys and girls, I said, sir, 30, 40%?
But
70%.
the
girls
culture is different
participated.
over
I know
there.
the culture
different over
depends. The
here.
culture, I mean, the main thing, I mean, even the Pakistan Cricket Board higher official, I mean, he said that the culture is the biggest issue over here. because many of them see. I mean, when you I work for an international NGO. I travel to the border areas. I travel to the KPK areas, Waziristan and all that. You have got girls over there who are strong cricketers, but the unfortunate thing is that the culture depends a lot over here, because they
So
don't
to the
allow
parents
them.
and everybody
They
to
don't
push
allow
them
them to
forward,
play the football or cricket or whatever it is.
So it can't always be the administrators too, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I think we need to play our part. Thank you very much, Emma. Thank you very much, Avas,
Thank you so
for coming over. You know, it's always lovely to see you off the record too as well. And you know, he's the only one guy who's actually, if he has a bulletin before the show, he'll always tell you that, you know, okay, Shazad and Shazad come in
Yeah, he
with
links
ball
over.
this morning. So thank you very much
I
for
call
that
you a
too.
double S.
Double S, okay.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much, Avas, for joining us. But ladies and gentlemen, you know, your environment which surrounds you has a greater impact on you too as well. So everybody's responsible for adding into that too as well. And if you see that there's something which is not fair, please make sure that you raise your voice. This is Naya Pakistan, and we're
You're
very
going to be
much
heard.
in line with that too as well. And the next segment is actually will be about, you know, the houses we live in and the psychological impacts they have on us too as well, or the fields we play in. Let's do it. Good
tuned.
morning.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to World This Morning. In our first segment, we were talking about Pakistan cricket. And in this segment, very quickly, we're going to discuss the infrastructure and patterns of living and how your environment and how your house, especially the places that you live in or go to, can affect your mood, your mental health as well. And for that, we have with us a psychologist and an architect who are going to discuss the very basics of this.
Exactly. And before I introduce them, ladies and gentlemen, there's this one feeling which I wanted to share, and that was that, you know, when I moved into the house we live in right now, so I think it was located in such a place where, you know, sun rays wouldn't come in a lot. And in the previous house where I was living, so I was used to of having breakfast where there was sun coming in and there was television, and I used to feel very lovely, amazing, energetic. So after living a year or 2 years within the same house, I felt as if, you know, if the sun rays are not going to come in, I'm not going to get the same energy. And it had quite a lot of impact, which is why now I do my breakfast outside the house too as well.
Great.
Because I just cannot. So there are these impacts which we do not really pay heed to in our daily lives too as well. We're going to discuss that. For example, in the older decades, we saw that, you know, there were verandas. Even if we go now these days to all the old structures, you know, baradaris and all of these, where you could actually, when we used to have like open verandas, you know, we could even talk to the neighbors, anybody going in the street, so, you know, all of that kind of thing, it's gone because, you know, we've come down to a point where we live in
We've urbanized a lot, actually.
yeah, it's not even urbanized. It looked like, for example, we're living in cells. We don't even know our neighbors these days. So on my right-hand side to discuss all of these issues, we have been joined by Dr. Anam Khan, who's a clinical psychologist from NUST. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Thank you so much, Walaikum Salam. It's a very interesting topic, I would like to add, because like you said, that in previous decades, no one has given importance to it. So thank you so much for having me.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not the least, it was very hard to get our hands on this guy, especially because he's ranked like in the top 5 architects within Pakistan and outside Pakistan too as well. Alhamdulillah, he just got back from Hajj. So congratulations, Mr. Jamshed Khan. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. Ji, aap theek hain?
Allah ka shukr, alhamdulillah. So let me just get started with you because you're an architect. So earlier we had open houses, open spaces, you know, green pieces within the houses. But now we live in nuclear units, so you know, where we just want to stay inside. That's it. We don't want to be in light.
Exactly. It's a matter that we were not involved in research or in kind of our knowledge which were based on our indigenous living style.
Yeah.
So nowadays, people are working again on it, how we can improve our living through good designs, functionality, verandas in modern styles.
Yeah.
You would see a lot in Islamabad and Lahore, Karachi. So it's a good sign that we architects are now working on it. And you are right, and I agree, because 50 years back, and there was a gap in between learning,
Okay.
colonial time and the education of Pakistani generation. There was a gap. So that gap also affected the architectural side. No working, just magazines, copy paste. Now, alhamdulillah, we can say now young architects are working on it, how the features of our architecture, verandas, open, heighted ceilings, how we can bring into our contemporary architecture in Pakistan.
Amazing, amazing. So, which is why I'm going to move on to Dr. Saib over. Now, Dr. Saib, I'm going to give you in comparison. So, imagine that there's a kid who's actually been living in a joint family system of like 4 rooms only, where it's like 5 chachus and so many aunties.
Lots of cousins.
Yeah, in the same house. And then there's this one kid who's actually been nurtured and raised up in a house where there was open spaces, where he had independence within his own house. His privacy was intact. Right. So how do you think that both the environments are going to have an impact on the kid itself?
Well, they are way different. For example, like you said, that if you take the example, the first one where he's living with a joint family system, or we can say that maybe he's not that comfortable because he doesn't have his own personal space or little space where he can play with his friends or where he can sit for a while for alone. For his me time wouldn't be there. So we can say that yes, and with comparison to the other kid who has his own place, he can play around, he can do whatever he wants. So yes, the psychological well-being or the mental health of those two would be quite different. Okay. Why? Because when we talk about home, that basically means that we are comfortable, we are at ease, and that is a place where we belong to. But if you are in a rushy place with lots of people and you don't have your own some space where you can sit alone, so yes, of course, that is going to be detrimental for your psychological
Okay, but Dr. Anam, lately there's a trend of, not living in double-story, triple-story houses anymore. We've moved to flats as well, where there's just one vast area
floor,
that we're covering. The rooms are there, the living rooms, everything's there. Yeah. How does it actually affect our health, physical or mental?
It does. It facts you in all ways. In fact, if you talk about your physical health, so yes, you're not being active, you're not moving around. You're just living on the same floor. Maybe you have your dining and living in bedroom in the same floor. So yes, that means you're not mobilizing yourself.
Exactly.
So that is going to affect your physical health. And recently I was going through some literature which has supported that initiates some knee syndrome sort of a thing. Why? Because you're not using staircase. What we do basically, we are avoiding stairs these days. If you go to shopping malls, so we are going to escalators or something else. So that is going to affect your health. And talking about the psychological health too, because you need some change. For example, if you sit for so long in a similar place, for example, if I'm spending whole my day in dining room or drawing room, so yes, that would be initiating some negative energy within me. So I need to change my place maybe after every 1 hour or maybe after 2 hours or 3 hours. So that shift in energy is required.
And imagine the gym I go to, I have to take a lift to actually be there because it's on the 3rd floor too as well. But we do have stairs, but I don't opt for stairs. But other than that, Dr. Saib very easily said that, times are changing, people do not want to move. But I want you to tell us, what are the current trends? What kind of things are people or ideas are people coming up with to have a house, for example, where it's just single story? Is it just double story? I think people over in Islamabad want to build houses or probably have much more space, whatever they can manage within 500 square yards of plot as well, or probably smaller or bigger, and they're going for basements too as well. What are the current trends?
Shazad, there are very few features for a good, healthy living in a house. For example, you need air, oxygen. So you have to develop your house, not dead-end walls. Especially in Androon Shahar, you would find dead-end walls, no window, no ventilators.
Exactly, yes.
So nowadays, we must be appreciate that now architects are very much aware about it, and they are very sensitive about it.
Okay.
And the second thing, you must have some visual visuals in your house, greenery, landscape, some water features that pleased you. And the third thing, your personal space, where you want to play, where you want to sleep, where you want to read.
Yeah. I want to do everything in my room. That's it. I want to eat over there. I want to play over there. I want to play over there. I want to sleep over there. That's it. Don't call me
You are
outside my
lucky.
room.
You are lucky.
I'm so sorry, that's not healthy at all.
Yeah, that's not healthy. I know that.
And you
But
go to gym.
lot of people in our old cities don't find these kind of spaces and these kind of opportunities. And the next thing which I would like to say that some common spaces to interact with the family, to interact with the neighborhood, to interact with your guest. So these are very important spaces, common spaces. These are basically the spaces which educates you indirectly. Which you said that sometimes neighbor talking to you from the wall. We have seen that in our childhood. Yes, exactly. That is basically catharsis. That when two neighbors are talking to each other, they are sharing their things with each other. So sometimes they're for a meal, sometimes they're salon.
Let's ask Dr. Saiba whether is that true? Do we relax? Is it catharsis?
It is, and it's very important. Why? Because you need to connect to your community, to your neighborhood. Why? Because like you said, that now we are not connected. We don't know who's our next door neighbor and who lives there. And in case if they're facing some problem, we have no idea about it. Why is it so? Why? Because we are living in our own big houses and we have no idea what's going outside our four walls. So it's very important when we connect to people, and I'll second him that when we connect to nature, that has an impact on you. Nature includes light coming in, proper ventilation. You have some area, for example, those who are housewives, they can go for some kitchen garden sort of a thing. So yes, they're busy and they're doing something, and we need greenery around us right now. So I think that connection with the nature is very important.
Okay, Mr. Jamshed, before very quickly, can you just tell us what are some of the things that architects or builders should keep in mind when they're building, disaster-prone buildings?
Exactly. I also wanted to come on it because now it is it is not easy to build a house. It is easy to purchase an apartment. What should we do in multi-story buildings for a healthy living?
With the 11 floors and whatnot.
Exactly. So again, air, view, and personal space, common spaces are important. But sometimes you want to see sky. Sometimes you want to see moon. So sometimes in winter you want to sit in a sun. And sometimes you
have
want
some oranges as well.
Exactly. These are the things which are very important for the healthy life and psychological health, which the doctors have had said. Psychological health is very important for the physical health also. If you are not psychologically fit, you can't be fit physically.
Okay, that's great. But there's one thing, and I need a solution from you because you're an architect too as well. So for all those people who live in apartments, especially the newlyweds, what happens is after a year or 6 months they start fighting, and any neighbor could actually hear them too as well. So the affairs of your own house will be discussed by people living right next to you within the apartment. This is something which happens a lot. So can't we come up with a technique where all of what has been said stays within the house too as well?
Not fight.
Don't fight.
Don't fight.
Some another room when you fight to go into that room because of some time gap. So I don't agree with those buildings which are those are the cluster of the apartments. There must be some gaps, spaces, greeneries in every floor, in each floor. For the kids who can't come in 11 stories down for the park, and for safe older people, those who can't come again and again for the park. So we have to arrange some green patches as a roof gardens on each floor.
That's great. And very quickly, a person who will live in an apartment and a person who lives in a house, psychological impacts.
Well, that is going to be different, but yes, you should make it homely and you should be comfortable about it. I won't discourage it that if you're living in an apartment, that means that you won't be healthy or otherwise. But the thing is that you should have that level of comfort over there. And yes, I would agree to him that you should have some area. For example, even if you're living in an apartment, you should have some area where you can put some pots or you can have some swing where you can relax. And yes, I think that you can enjoy that moonlight and that winter some sunlight over there too. So I think you should have some area where you can be comfortable, where you have light, where you have your own flavor, you can play some music, drawing paintings, or some sort of a hobby you can
So
cultivate
wherever
over
you
there.
link, just customize it and make it homely.
Yeah, your own flavor should be there actually.
Very nice. Thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation with you too as well. It was great to know that that the places we live in have an impact on us, on our personality too as well. But ladies and gentlemen, the weather is changing. I wanted to talk about that we're more prone to heat these days as well. Climate change there. We'll talk about different techniques. We'll have you over on the show once again as well. So today, since we were too focused about cricket because we're a cricketing nation, we couldn't justify the time we had to discuss all of these things. So we'll definitely have you over once again. But do you want to add on to something, Shiza?
Oh no, I was just saying the Asia Cup is just around the corner, which is why we were so focused on cricket.
All right, so do write to us, ladies and gentlemen, on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
World This Morning.
On Twitter.
World This Morning without a shame.
On Daily Motion
World
and
This
YouTube.
Morning.
And the fabulous repeat is going to be
11 in the night.
Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Thank you.
Are trademarks of Multan's handicraft repertoire.